Hi everyone, Angus Campbell here again. Okay, in the last episode we were messing about with chains and primarily focusing on the starter chain. In this episode we're going to carry on the primary case because although we're waiting for parts now, what I'm going to do is sort out all the little bits and pieces to get all this finally together. So let me get set up here and I'll bring you back. Right everyone, got a few bits and pieces together. I'm now replete with a cup of tea, so we can crack on. So first thing, continuing from yesterday, what I said with respect to the starter chain is that that's currently at 50 links. We need 49. So to do that, we need to convert two links into one, and that one link I believe is called a half link, believe it or not. And I have managed to locate one on eBay, which is the requisite dimensions for that chain, which is 3/8, 5/32. So I've purchased that, and just to, if you're not familiar with these half links, then here's a picture of it here. Okay, so what we'll need to do when that arrives, as I say, is take two links out of this chain, replace it with one link, then we'll be at the requisite 49 links, and that should tighten that up sufficiently so it's good enough to be the starter chain without catching on any of the components. At the moment it catches on the bottom stud for the stator. So we've got to wait for that to arrive. Also, with respect to the primary chain, as we said yesterday, I've got the right dimension primary chain, but this is 80 links and I want 72. I don't currently have a splitter big enough for a duplex chain. I've only got one for a single row chain. However, again on eBay last night I managed to find, admittedly in North America, an endless chain of the right dimensions at 72 pitches, 72 links. So that's on its way here as well. So there's going to be a bit of hiatus before those parts arrive and we can finish the chains. However, there's lots of other bits and pieces we can do here with all the ancillary bits to actually hold this lot together. So we've got to ensure we've got the right nuts to hold the clutch on the main shaft, gearbox main shaft, and also the rotor on the crankshaft. I do have the rotor for this as well as the stator, which you've seen earlier, which we need to fit too. Also we've got the clutch to put together, so I need to start assembling bits and pieces to do that. So first things first, the usual complaint about suppliers. So I ordered up some clutch spring nuts. I ordered a set of 4. They came this morning in a bag saying ×4, there's 3 in there. Luckily I had some others in stock, so I have got a set of 4 clutch spring screws, whatever you want to call them. We've also got the clutch centre spacer, which is this, and what we need then are the sleeve nuts that go inside of this. So both the clutch centre nut and I believe the rotor nut are both sleeve nuts, and they are different parts numbers in the parts book, but you would have thought that these were fairly common with other models. Anyway, I did find the part numbers available on eBay, ordered them up, here they are, and they're wrong. They're too big. They just slide on. Not far off, but not close enough. So we need to dig out, well, go through all the parts. So I've got parts boxes galore here, as you can see, and I need to root through this lot to see if we've got any of the correct nuts. And also we want to check if these 2 nuts are the same. The part numbers are different in the book. So I assembled a number of nuts here which might have different threads to see if we can see if any fit one or other of these shafts, and move them across and see if these the threads dimensions on these shafts are the same. They look the same, and I would imagine they're UNF, but we can't be sure, and I don't really want to run a tap down these, sorry, a die around these to clean them up. So I've managed to find not the correct nut, but a nut which is a good fit for the crankshaft, for the rotor fixing. It's not the correct nut because it's not sleeved, but at least we've got the right size for that. And in attempting to put it onto the main shaft, it does go, but it's a little bit tight, and I think that's because, let's have a quick go with it. I think it does go on and it doesn't tighten, it's just stiff, and that would seem to indicate to me that the thread on the shaft might be slightly damaged, so we'll check to see if we can dress that up. Alternatively, it isn't very clean, to be honest, nowhere near as clean as the crankshaft. So what we'll do first is we'll just give that a quick wire brush. And then just inspect that actually to see if it has actually accidentally been dinged on one side. Yeah. Doesn't look too even, to be honest. Get a bit of lubrication too. That's not working too well. So what we'll do is get a bit more light on the subject. Bring you forward a little bit more. Yeah, I can feel it actually with my finger now. It's a bit rough on one side, so I think we need to turn that, which we'll do from the other side. So I'm just going on to the other side here and unscrewing the gearbox cover and taking the outer cover and inner cover off, because then that gives me access to the main shaft from this side, and we can try and manoeuvre it a little. Might be a bit difficult as it is in gear, but that shouldn't really stop us. No, I can't take it at the moment without turn it at the moment without taking the whole shaft out. But yeah, it is. It has been bashed, I think, on the end of the shaft. So what I'll do is I've got a fine file. I'm just going to dress that a little with a file, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, just give it a very light dressing with a file, and now I've got a nut on there, and it's going on there reasonably well. It's a little bit stiff, but it's not too bad, and it's not tightening up as we're going. It's pretty even stiffness, so I'm pretty sure it's the right thread. But what I'm going to do now is take it off and check that nut. The intention being that if the nut's damaged, then we need to do some more dressing up, and also all the time we're using this nut, sacrificing this nut, which isn't the correct nut anyway, but hopefully the correct thread, so we don't damage the real nut. So what it appears to be doing is, you won't be able to see this very well, so apologies, but the nut is going on well enough, but the shaft is taking a small slither off the thread, so there's obviously a sharp edge to this somewhere that's actually almost like tapping the nut slightly, and I think I can feel it. But as long as that goes back on, which it does, and as long as we get a full nut on there, so it's, as you can see, it's not too tight. It's almost like it's just dressing the nut a little. It's getting a little bit tight there, but the shaft is holding it all right. Hopefully this is cleaning up the threads as well. It's certainly not damaging the threads on the shaft. And we can see the nut is nearly on, actually. We've nearly got a full nut on that. Okay, the nut's now completely on. It's gone past the rough part at the beginning of the shaft, so obviously the shaft has got a little tiny bit, the thread's got just a little tiny bit of damage on it, but now that nut's going on well. fact, yeah, you can see where the slight damage has sort of reamed out the nut thread a little bit. But the nut's going on well now. We're nearly up the end of the shaft. The shaft thread hasn't been damaged, and what it means then is that this nut's cleaned that thread. You've got to bear in mind that this shaft, this main shaft of this gearbox, has probably been kicking about in boxes of parts for nearly 50 years, and therefore it's not unusual for it to have suffered maybe a little bit of damage if it's been dropped on the end. Just bent the starter thread a little tiny bit. Okay, so yeah, there's a little tiny bit of slither of thread, but the main nut thread is still very much intact, and also the thread on the shaft hasn't been damaged at all where we've wound this nut on, so that's definitely the right thread. So I'm sure that's UNF. So what we might do is grab a UNF die and just see if we can gently just clean that up very, very slightly. So bear with me, I'll bring you back in a sec. Actually, what we can do, if we take the 1/2 inch UNF, we can at least check the nuts. There you go, so it's definitely 1/2 inch UNF, because the nut that we've used to screw onto that shaft goes onto the 1/2 inch UNF tap fine. So that is correct, and we're definitely using the UNF tap, not the UNC. Let's try it without the arms in it. Oh, I can see what I'm doing wrong now. It's the wrong way around. Yeah, that's correct. put this in the right way around. Make sure it's locked in. Now we'll try and push. There we go. Yeah. Okay, it's going on. What I'm going to do is take that stud out. Give me a bit more room. That's just one of the alternator stator studs, and then we can put the arms back on the die. Gives a bit more leverage. There we go. Backwards and forwards. Bit of lubrication. There she goes. What I'm going to do also, now we've got it started, is we'll take the starter chain wheel off. What's going on here? Right, we've got a problem there, so we need to get another circlip because the end's broken off that circlip. So that must have happened yesterday when I fitted it. I thought it went on with a twang. So there we go. One broken circlip. Still, I think I've got some of those in stock. We can take that off. Right. Move away. Look at the gearbox is tight. There we go. Try that inside there again, and there you go. Finger tight. Beautiful. So that's cleaned that up nicely. Right. So What we need now are the correct sleeve nuts. So let me have a look through the all my masses of parts boxes here, see if I can find a couple, and I'll bring you back. Right, success. There we go. Sleeve nut, 1/2 inch UNF, I believe. So that one goes on definitely beautifully onto the crankshaft for the rotor nut. And similarly, now we've cleaned up the thread on the main shaft, finger tight too, so they are the same. Check to see if they go into the thrust washer, and it does for the clutch, so that's good. And then on the outside of that, of course, we do have we have to add so I'm just umming and ahhing there, it's just caught something there. We have to add a locking washer. That's what I'm trying to say. That's better. There was just a bit of dirt in the thread. Similarly, a locking washer on this side. There we go. Right, that's good. Progress. So they're good. So what we can do for now is we'll just put this back. I'll need to see if I can find a circlip of the right size for that. There we go. And what that means we can also do now is we can build the clutch. So 5 driving and 5 driven plates. Here they are. So put a driving plate in first and then alternate with a driven plate, which are plain, and then you end up with a driven plate before the pressure plate, which I believe is the correct way of doing it. 5 of each. Battery's getting low. And then we have the pressure plate. They do fit. With the springs and their cups. There they go. Into the cush drive. Got to press them in a bit. And with the cups, I'm just making sure that the grooves are lined up, and that ensures that the cups don't spin then when you tighten these up. And then finally, the clutch spring screws. So I won't do these too tight for now, but at least we've got the clutch together then. I have got a special 2-sprung screwdriver somewhere for tightening these up down to the bottom. Yeah, there it is. But that's for later. Right, next thing, I'll put the stud back for the stator. I'll just check it doesn't require any washers on the back of it. And I'll just see if I can find the lock washers for the clutch. Of course, I've just realised, look, I've put that clutch together, but I'll need to take that pressure plate off to actually get the centre nut on. But anyway, we've got all the parts, so that's good. One thing I'm a little concerned about is the fact that those cups took a bit of persuasion to go in, so that might mean that the clutch is a bit stiff. Anyway, we know they're correct. Yeah, some of the cups are a little bit tight, and some are alright. So we'll just need to, oh, not too bad, it's just one mainly. Might mean the stud's a little bit over. It's not too bad. So we'll just need to dress those a little bit. I can see what's happening there. Yeah, the hole's a bit off centre. You can't see that very well, sorry. There we go. Try and line that up. The back hole here is a little bit off centre, so it's catching on the centre stud. So we just need to hone that out a little. All of them could do with probably a little bit of a dressing. Just a little tiny bit. Anyway, it's not too bad. But anyway, we know the clutch goes together. Bit of dressing up left to do on that. Put the stud back. Just check. Yep, no washer behind the stud. That goes straight in. Like so. Right, somewhere here I've got the Woodruff keys. Now I'm just test fitting at this stage, obviously, because we're going to have to take the clutch off. That's too big. These are too big because they may be for the front here. We're going to have to take the clutch off to get the chain on when that arrives. But the idea for the moment really is to just get everything together on this side. We'll put the cover on, and while we're waiting parts we can go and concentrate on the gearbox cover side and get the outer cover finished. Right, sorry, I'm just looking for the Woodruff keys that I know I have. So we've got those three, but we want a slightly smaller set. Okay, I'll bring you back in a sec once I've found the keys. Right, they took some finding. But I thought I had a set of smaller Woodruff keys, and here they are. That's much better. That's it. And just tap down the front end. So the front end of that Woodruff key is lower, so it'll engage with the groove in the clutch. He says, hopefully. So what we might have to do is, because of all the weight now, let's take the plates back out. There's one like so. Right. And there we go. Woodruff key engaged. Clutch in. There's our washer, main clutch nut washer. Plenty of thread there for the clutch nut. Found the lock washers that I have in stock. what we'll need actually is not one of those. There we go. We need one with a tab. There we go. One with a tab on the inside that engages with the Woodruff key groove, and that's the right length. Sorry, right diameter. So all we'll do that for the moment is just bend that tab up, the outer tab, so we can at least fit that in there like so. Just thought actually, if we've got a main washer, behind the nut, then how is that locking tab washer going to engage? No, still don't get it. How's it going to engage with the slot in the clutch centre to lock it? There's got to be another mechanism there, so we'll have to think about that. So for now, we'll just get the nut on there so that the clutch doesn't keep coming off. I wanted to come have a think about that. Okay, that's that for now. We need to think about the tab washer. We also need to dress the cups for the springs. But we've got the right Woodruff keys, that's sorted. We've got the nuts sorted. So, a little bit more progress. One step at a time. But we're gradually getting there. So I think that will do for this video for now. Try and keep them relatively short. And in the next video we'll see if we can just finish off a bit more on this primary drive before we then wait for the chains and the parts to come, in which case then we'll move on to the gearbox side. So without further ado, thanks very much for watching everybody. Thanks for your interest, it's appreciated, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks again, bye bye.